Welcome to Authors in Conversation. Today I'm talking to Trish Rock, who's the author of The Peace Process, Tools to Align and Prosper. And we're at your 12-month anniversary, Trish. Congratulations.
Thank you. I can't believe it. It's been a year.
A year since you launched that wonderful book. And look, I think people listening to this might be interested to know how we met. And we met because a friend of mine had had a session with you and she was raving about it. At the time, I wasn't the kind of person to have a session with a clairvoyant or somebody who was going to give me some tips about how I could move forward and get through some of the problems I was experiencing. But I took my friend's advice and I had a session with you, and it really did change my life. So I'm somewhat of a committed, open-minded person these days about these things. And of course, the other beautiful consequence of working with you was that you then mentioned to me that you were writing a book about the work that you do and that you could do with a bit of a hand. So there we are. You scratched my back. I scratched yours, and here we are, because in fact, you're doing me a great favor, Trish. Because again, to give the audience a little bit of background here, I saw Trish posting on social media that she had almost completed the audiobook version of her book. And I said, look, if I can actually share what you've learnt in that process with my audience, that would be a real benefit for both my audience and for me, frankly. So, Trish, just take the floor from here and tell us what's it been like and what would you do differently?
Yeah, well, it was perfect alignment when we'd come in because I'd already approached a few publishers before that because I kind of already had the 40,000 pages or whatever done because I'd been writing it for, quite a few years. And so it was a perfect alignment and, you had a read of the book. And, you just really believed in it. And I think that's really important for authors. You can get published by anybody, but if they don't believe in your book, then it just makes it really awkward with all the editing and all the rest of it. So thank you for that. And then we shifted it around a bit and ended up with this beautiful bestseller. Yeah, bestseller a few times now, actually. So yeah, it's been really good. And, I've written probably 7 or 8 other books as well that I've self-published on Amazon. And they were in another industry that I was in. And I guess I promoted those a little bit, but not to the extent I'm promoting this, because this body of work, it really is my purpose and it's my absolute vision and passion. And so, I wrote the book to get it out to people. And, people write books for different reasons. Some people might write the book just to get in writing what they've been through. And then if they can go to do a talk about it or something locally, then that's great for them too. But I want to get this out everywhere. And it is out globally now, which is great. And it just getting in the hands of more and more people. And I know that it changes lives. So that's why I just want to get it out there. It's a really powerful process. And I think not only was our meeting aligned and you got a lot out of our session, but I don't know how many times you read the book while you were editing it. I know I racked up a few.
Yep. It certainly reinforced the experience that I went through, that's for sure.
So it's been really good. I've done a couple of talks. Yours was one of them. And I've done a few other talks now and podcasts. We've had lots of podcast interviews around the book and people are just fascinated with it. And I guess that's the other thing I want to say too. If someone's writing a book and they don't feel like people understand it, just keep going, because when the peace process first came in and it was all about parallel realities and all of that, I was a bit hesitant to put it in the book because it wasn't a big thing at that point, right? So then you worry about the criticism and the judgment, and I may look confident, but some days I'm not. It's like, oh, if we're going to write that, what are people going to say? But that was the end of 2022, wasn't it, that we started that?
Yes.
And now we're at the beginning and nearly midway through 2024, and it's a big thing out there. Everybody's talking about it.
Isn't it interesting?
So my book has landed at exactly the right time in divine timing. And so if you are writing about something that might be a bit controversial or a little bit kind of out there and you kind of think, oh, what are people going to think?
Mm.
You'll publish it at the right time and the
Mm.
universe will align with you.
Yeah.
So just have courage and put it out there anyway.
That's a beautiful tip. And one of the things that I did see happen also is that when you had somebody like me with fresh eyes, and I would ask a question, and it would be, what do you mean by this? Especially a book like that has to explain to the reader, what do we mean? What does it look like? How could it help them? How could they get access to it? And all of those kind of things. So just the fresh eyes about, okay, this is so clear in your head, but it's not clear on the page. And that I think then helped you in some ways in terms of your being able to explain it as well when you're talking to potential clients and what have you. So it's a genuine win-win. But what I'm really intrigued about now, Trish, is your
Mm.
experience of creating the audiobook. Tell me, it's
Yeah.
sort of a step by step in what's involved. Is it your voice or is somebody else doing the voice?
Yes, well, you have to have a fair bit of resilience and persistence and determination. And as you know, I've got all of those. And if I want something done, I will just do it until it's done. And that's just who I am and how I'm made. But it took a lot of passion to do this. And so, yes, I read it. And now you need to have a space that's good kind of sound reverberation. I think that's the
Mm.
word. A lot of people go in their walk-in closets and record in there. It's got great sound, but you need a good microphone.
Mm.
And yeah, I just sat there and I recorded it. There was nearly 9 hours of
Ah,
recording
right.
tape.
Hmm. And can I ask what you're recording it on? Is it a particular platform?
I recorded it on Audacity, which is a program I use for all of my meditations that I record.
Oh, of course. So you've done that sort of thing before, yes.
Yeah, so it's free. So you can just type in Audacity and it'll come up on Google, and you can just download it. And I've just found that really handy. I record all sorts of things on that. You can cut it. You can
Yes, trim it up
edit
and yes.
edit. Yeah. So that just does sound though,
Mhm.
Audacity.
Yep.
And then if I'm doing a meditation that needs a video, I've got another program for that that has images as well. But Audacity is great just for sound. So I
Yes.
did it on that. A couple of the chapters are over an hour. So that's a long time to sit there and be reading
Oh,
as
yes.
well as wondering about your voice and
Mm.
not messing up.
Mm.
And it was a very hot weekend. And it's interesting because I'm listening to all the recordings now, doing my final edits. And in my mind, I'm just thinking, man, I was hot in that room recording that. I
Oh,
was I was there with the microphone reading, and I had a little towel, pat, 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 and I was going like this, and I'm like, oh, I hope that doesn't interfere with the sound. It was so hot,
oh,
and I had to lock Rosie out of the room because she was snoring, and I just
Rosie's
anyway.
the dog, by the way, guys.
Yeah, not like a 2-year-old or something. So I did half the book one day. I did the rest of the book the next day.
Mm.
And then I was sending it off to the person that was editing it for me. And so then I just had to wait for that. If you make a mistake, you just stop, you pause, and then you start again at the beginning of that sentence. And
Absolutely. That's right. That's a great tip, though, because people will think,
yeah,
oh, okay, I'm going to have to start again. And
um,
that, no, boy, you'd drive yourself nuts, wouldn't you, if you did that?
1 hour in onto your recording, there's no way you're going to start again. No.
Ah,
And it's important to kind of keep the same voice. So I couldn't have recorded half of a chapter and then the next half the next day because my voice would have been different,
exactly.
slightly different,
Yes.
which sounds weird, but it is.
And so was
So
that 9 hours over one day?
over a weekend,
Over a weekend? Okay. Yep, yep, yep. Still, that's pretty intense, isn't it?
it was pretty intense. It's pretty exhausting. And then, of course, all the edits come back and you have to listen. It's been quite intensive. So then I had to listen and read the book while I was listening to make sure it was edited properly. And then I had to write down all at this particular 23.56 seconds, there's a double up. And, that was pretty intense, actually.
Yes. But more credit to you, Chris, because as you say, you are determined, you're persistent, and you got it done.
When I first started selling the book, I had a lot of people saying, "Oh, you're going to do an Audible version." And it was interesting at the time because I thought that it was just going to cost me too much. And I'm like, I just don't have that money. So I kind of just, pushed it aside.
Mm.
And in the back of my mind, I'm like, I need the audio book. I'll have it done before the book's a year old. That's why I've been really pushing this
Well,
last few weeks to get it done. And I think it's important because I know I write books, but I don't read a lot of books because my eyes just can't deal with it now. They go all weird. I don't know how I read for 9 or 10 hours, to be honest.
you did well.
You just do it. You just do it. But mostly I listen to books now.
Me too. I'm with you. Yep.
Yeah. And so it needed to be on Audible. So I know that I've got an audience there. But it is a labor of love, just like writing a book.
All true.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, that's a labor of love. All of those nights I was there, I've got another 3 chapters to edit and another this to do, this to do. I mean, you just do it. If you want to get it done, you do it.
That's right. Absolutely. So, Trish, of course, people will then just be looking on Audible. By the time this gets out, they'll have a look on Audible. It's either there or it's not, depending on how quick they are, because we don't know how long it'll take to load up, as you said. Meanwhile, just let people know where they can find you, because that rave I gave at the beginning about the work you do, I think there is now never been a better time because so much uncertainty in the world that we live in, so much potential for fear to set in, and it's just unnecessary. There are things you can do about it, and people like Trish are expert at helping folks like me through times when it's sort of hard to see the way forward.
Absolutely. And I had a lot of, I just did a talk on the weekend and had a lot of people coming up and just thanking me for my vulnerability because, when you go through those hard times, it can feel very shameful and you don't want to tell other people about it. But, by speaking it, it allows you then to kind of go, right, now I can change it. I know what it is. Now I can change it. And it also gives other people permission then to say, well, you know what? That's where I am right now in life. And I'm going to speak it, even if it's just to myself. And then, change is possible. And you can find me at trishrock.com. My book's definitely there. And all of my services.
Trish, I really appreciate your time and sharing all of that with us. It's going to help a lot of my authors, I know.